and enforcement team in collaboration with the Western Central Police Command. Concerned youth of Asiedu-Dartey North have opposed any attempt by government to introduce responsible mining activities in their area, cautioning that such a move would inevitably pave the way for galamsey operations. According to them, no form of mining, responsible or otherwise, is welcome on their lands. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, November 26, 2025, the youth emphasized that Asiedu-Dartey North is naturally endowed with fertile lands ideal for agribusiness. The District Chief Executive DCE of Bosome Freho in the Ashanti region, Charles Apiakubi, has ordered all small-scale miners operating within the district to furnish the Assembly with the requisite documents supporting their mining activities by next week. The deadline underscores the administration's intent to map and verify every mining operation in that area, thereby enabling swift identification and legal action against illegal mining undertakings. Finally, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy, Dr. Frank Bano, has faulted the ruling National Democratic Congress for what he describes as an embarrassing and misleading narrative about the work of medical drone delivery company Zipline. Now, in a Facebook post on Thursday, November 27, 2025, Dr. Bano expressed concern after sections of the NDC questioned the relevance of Zipline by claiming the service delivers condoms instead of essential medicines. Now, he said such comments reflected poorly on the level of national discourse and undermined Ghana's seriousness in the global development space. That'll be it for the news summaries. For more details, you can get them on our website, 3news.com. Martin, over to you.
Right, thank you very much for the news summaries. Let's reconnect to Parliament and listen to the Finance Minister in his concluding statement.
Well, and serving the people of Ghana with discipline. Mr. Speaker, we will do just that, and we'll do it for the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I conclude.
And you've just had the
Honorable Deputy Deputy Minority Leader, the Minister has concluded.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's just a point of clarification. I heard the Minister for Finance indicating that Honorable Asenso was talking about the abandonment of the project which they proposed. But that is a clear misrepresentation. He was talking, yes, that is the truth. We were all here, and then we know of the letter. So I think it's mischievous, and we need to have clarity on this issue. We have it on record. We have it on record that he was saying that there's an existing project which is almost completed. So he should complete it. That was the suggestion. So, Mr. Speaker, for point of clarification, I think we should all be fair to each other. And the letter didn't even state that. Thank you very much.
Well, Minister, I wanted to say something because you are reopening the debate. And I don't want it, but once you said it, yes, the Minister has the right to reply.
Mr. Speaker, I have a copy of the letter with me. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to send the letter to you. But, Mr. Speaker, I can read the details to you. Mr. Speaker, he said, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, first, it is on the letterhead of the Office of the Member of Parliament, Bantama Constituency, dated 4th August 2025. Dated 4th August 2025. He said, Dear Mr. President, appeal for reconsideration of the new Accra-Kumasi Expressway proposal. Mr. Speaker, appeal for reconsideration of the new Accra-Kumasi Expressway proposal. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to convey my concern on the recent proposal by your administration to construct a completely new 6-lane expressway between Accra and Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, as someone who has served, he said that as someone who has served both as Minister of Roads and Highways and a Member of Parliament representing a constituency directly linked to the Accra-Kumasi corridor, I fully appreciate the strategic importance of this route to our national economy. But it remains the most critical arterial road in this country, Ghana, linking our 2 largest cities and serving as a vital economic lifeline. But however, Your Excellency, since John Ejekum Kufuor administration, significant progress has been made in dualizing the corridor. Over 100 kilometers of the 240 kilometers stretch has been completed, with an additional 46 kilometers currently under active construction, including strategic bypasses at Enyinem, Osino, Enyinase, and Konongo, as per the country's own records. Mr. Speaker, it went on to say that the fiscal progress on this bypass ranges from 58% to 100%, with only 94 kilometers left to be dualized. The recent announcement to initiate a completely new expressway project, whilst these projects are underway, raises genuine concern, and I am particularly struck by the road minister's own admission that the ministry is in the process of hiring a consultant to undertake the feasibility study for the new project. This suggests that there is no final design, no cost estimate, no secured funding for the proposed expressway. Yet, Your Excellency stated publicly that construction will begin next year and be completed before your term ends. A timeline less than 3 years. With my expertise and experience, I can say without any fear of contradiction that this timeline is not feasible. It went on to say the following: with the greatest of respect, Mr. President, such pronouncement made ahead of critical project milestones like feasibility, costing, environmental clearance, and financing risk undermining our credibility in infrastructure phasing and infrastructure planning and public investment management. Moreover, Article 35(7) of the 1992 Constitution enjoins government to continue development projects initiated by previous administration in the national interest. It went on saying that abandoning an ongoing project, one that is technically sound, economically justifiable, and already delivering results, contradicts this constitution directive and may set a bad precedent for wasteful governance. Mr. Speaker, it went on to say that I am aware that the Minister for Roads and Highways has raised concerns about alleged cost overruns arising from project variations, which, while such claims deserve to be thoroughly investigated and, if necessary, addressed through appropriate corrective measures, they should not serve as justification. They should not serve as justification for abandoning the entire project. It went on to say that in the context of Ghana's current fiscal constraint and competing, I will share it. I have not shared anything. It's here. I have it here. I'm reading. He said that, Mr. Speaker, no, let me read it. I'm reading. Mr. Speaker, he's not listening. Listen to me. I have it here. I'm sharing it with you. Mr. Speaker, let me read everything. Mr. Speaker, abandoning the entire project, variations and cost adjustment are common in major infrastructure works and can be managed within existing contractual and legal framework. Discontinuing a critical national project on the basis of unresolved variations not only undermines continuity, but also set a troubling precedent for future infrastructure development. Mr. Speaker, in the context of the Ghana's current fiscal constraint and competing infrastructure needs nationwide, I respectfully submit that it would be far more prudent to complete the existing dualization project than to commence a new, significant, more expensive one. Mr. Speaker, the resources, he went on to say that the resources needed for a fresh expressway could instead be channeled into completing the ongoing Accra-Kumasi dual carriageway and address other critical roads such as the Eastern Corridor, Coastal N1 Corridor, and Kumasi-Tamale Highway. He went on to say that, Your Excellency, my concern is born out of it's not born out of partisanship, but in the interest of continuity, prudence, and national development. I respectfully urge you to review the current course and provide leadership that consolidate, not disrupt, the modest gains we have made as a country. Please accept, Your Excellency, the assurance of my highest consideration. Mr. Speaker, clearly, Mr. Speaker, this is what he said. He said that the project should not be continued. This is what he said. So everybody knows what it is. Mr. Speaker, we all know what he said.
Honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, clearly, Mr. Speaker, this is what he said. He said that
Honorable members.
So everybody knows what to do.
Honorable members, at the time, the honorable member referred to made his submission, I was presiding, and exactly what the minister read is exactly what he submitted. At the time, no difference at all. And I'm sure if he had been here, he would have confirmed that. To made his submission. It's only I was looking at two different sides of the same coin. Exactly what the minister read is exactly what he submitted. That's all what is happening. If it was the same thing that, and I'm sure he submitted here, he would have confirmed that. Honorable members, it's only you are looking. We have now at two different sides to a successful end and conclusion of the commentary. That's all what is happening. On the statement by the Honorable Minister for Finance, on the budget and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2026. Of the commentary. We have other statements on the statement, but I'll be guided the Honorable Minister for Finance on the budget, whether we will take the statements now policy of government or we call it a day 31st December now 2026. Yes, we have other statements, but I'll be guided by leadership as to whether we will take the statements now or we call it a day.
Mr. Speaker.
Now, yes,
Mr. Speaker, we had agreed that after the leaders have concluded the comments on the budget statement presented by the finance minister, and Mr. Speaker, having listened to his concluding remarks, we'll call it a day. Tomorrow, we had agreed that after the leaders want to remind members that the state food comments on the former first lady presented by the finance minister taking place early in the morning from about 7 a.m. Concluding remarks. So we want to close. We'll call it today, tomorrow, so that we can come back early tomorrow to participate in that, and then we can return to business at midday. The state funeral. Mr. Speaker, I humbly submit. The venue is at the Black Star Square. That's the funeral. So we want to urge members that we all meet here, and then the bus will convey members to the Black Star Square early in the morning. 7 a.m. Between 7 and 7:30, we need to be there. That's why we are closing early today. Mr. Speaker, I humbly submit.
Yes, please.
My respected colleague, the Chief Whip, has an important matter. After that, I can now come.
Speaker, the call by the Chief Whip for us to draw the curtains doesn't find favor with us. And the reasons are not far-fetched. Now listen to me carefully. Well, effectively, we have about 13 days to ultimately pass the appropriation. Now, we are also today at the business committee being counseled by leader that is supposed to be a program of involvement of stakeholders at the budget estimate hearing. What does it mean? This is something we are doing for the first time. So there's a potential that this process will drag. I am worried that if you are not careful, this process will drag. Why? You are telling us that we should be changing our mindset and resetting and be talking about. What does it mean? This is something we are doing for the first time. So there's a potential that this process will drag. I am worried that if you are not careful, this process will drag. Why? You are telling us that we should be changing our mindset and resetting and be talking about 24-hour economy. And we have we have motions to be prosecuted. We have a number of motions. Why are you in a hurry to go home? Speaker, we also have the road minister here. Why? We should ask the questions. And besides, we have about 200 questions that are still on the shelves, getting dusty on the shelves. All these questions have not been programmed. And you are in a hurry to go home. At one breath, you are preaching 24-hour economy. At another breath, we should draw the curtains and go. We won't go home. We will work. We will work. So we are opposed. We are opposed to you yourself. You don't want to go by your own 24-hour principles. We will stay. No, Speaker, we are opposed.
Honorable members, let me say that statement time is ended. Statement time is ended. If you have to do any other business, that will not be statements again. But are you talking about us continuing?
No, Mr. Speaker, on a different matter. Mr. Speaker, two issues. Issue number one, Mr. Speaker, I drew the attention of the finance minister to some substantial factual errors contained in pages 74, 75, and 76. I pray that he would seek the leave of the House to amend the records of his budget. This is a public document. I drew his attention, and the record must not stay as they are because they are very substantial. Two, Mr. Speaker, the chief whip is the chief whip of the majority side. To him that he should encourage his side as well as members of government to all be in attendance, because yesterday Requiem Mass, it was quite disappointing from government side. Mr. Speaker,
yes, majority chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, the minority leader is a leader of this house. The invitation that we have, the invitation is for us to attend tomorrow's funeral. Honestly, I had no idea that there was a required mass yesterday. No, honestly. Please. These are very serious matters. It's a state funeral. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the first part of what the minority leader, my good friend, said. But I think what he said was in a very bad taste. Mr. Speaker, not too long ago, I was sitting on the other side, and one former member of this House, Honorable Rashid Bawa, who was actually one of their parliamentary candidates in Uti region passed. They even didn't write a tribute to read for him. we wrote a tribute, not a single one of them even got up to contribute to the tribute that time. That couldn't have been said to be, an oversight. So trying to score a political point out of this is neither here nor there. What we are saying is that the official program for the passing of the respected former First Lady is that we are having the funeral of the former First Lady, and we are urging everybody to have time to go there. What is the point of, those points you are making is neither here nor there. Was Parliament invited? So, Mr. Speaker, he can score his political points, but I can give a plethora of occasions where people from our side actually attended. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the mass that was held yesterday was held at the Rich Church. Mr. Speaker, I was there. The Honorable Afenyo-Markin was not there. Mr. Speaker, I was there with the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. Mr. Speaker, I was there before the procession of the clergy into the church. So I wasn't late. And I was there, and the clergy proceeded out. So, Mr. Speaker, it is not the case that this side of the House abandoned the mass. I was there.
The budget, well, the leaders of the House, the minority and the majority leaders, gave their concluding thoughts on the 2026 budget, and Speaker Bagbin, who is presiding now, decided to take a few comments from both sides, but it has veered into other important matters, one of it being the funeral of the late former First Lady of the Republic, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, which will be happening tomorrow. But a few minutes ago, you heard the voice of the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, who was reacting to a comment made by the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, whom, if you've been following proceedings right from the onset, has been sent or directed to go to the Privileges Committee. We'll bring you details of that, but let's at least have a quick recap of what has transpired in Parliament since the sitting today began. And the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, is set to face the Privileges Committee of Parliament after the Speaker found prima facie evidence that he may have disrespected the authority of Ghana's Parliament. It will be recalled that Alexander Afenyo-Markin was removed from Ghana's delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament, but according to the majority leader, who made a complaint of contempt against his counterpart, the minority leader, he indicated that Afenyo-Markin still went to the ECOWAS Parliament. He described this as a clear disregard of the authority of Parliament, delivering a ruling on the complaint of the majority leader. The Speaker said that a prima facie case had been made against the minority leader for contempt, and it's on the back of that he asked that he go and face the Privileges Committee. So let's listen to our Speaker Bagbin on this issue.
A role of womanhood in this country to where we are today. There were earlier starters, but what she actually did, please, bravery, read. We cannot let her go in silence. We have to go in our numbers and to sound the bugle. It's very, very important, so that you teach your young ones, your children, that when you are also not there, you expect to be honored the way you honor her tomorrow. If you don't do that, many of you may go unnoticed and unheralded, and that is no good for the development of our nation. So please, let's don't once again trivialize this thing and people don't show up. Conveys the impression where, in fact, I was informed of the funeral service yesterday, but the reason why it was sent to where it took place is because the intention of the family was not to attract that crowd. We all know the rich church. Conduct that conveys the impression that Parliament's decision may be ignored without consequence qualify as an affront to dignity, even if committed outside the presence of the House. Democratic experience across the world teaches that institutions endure not by their formal design alone, but by the conduct of those entrusted with them. The strength of this House floor for it once again to inject some bad blood into our body politics. Please, let's be careful about these things. With this, I think I'll try to acknowledge belatedly the presence of some visitors. We have students from the way it's written, Diacha African Faith Basic School. That is Asunafo South constituency. They are led here by the assistant here teacher, Christopher Ajay Boateng. Inquiry, investigation, and report to the House.
So that is the voice of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin there, and he has also referred the matter to the Privileges Committee for determination and recommendation.
Directed to 1. Ascertain the relevant facts giving rise to the complaint, including the actions taken by the House and by the Honourable Member concerned. 2. Review those actions taken within the framework of our standing orders and the applicable protocols of the ECOWAS Parliament. 3. Determine whether the conduct, if established, constitutes contempt of Parliament or a breach of privilege under Orders 30 and 31. And 4. Make appropriate recommendations to the House for its consideration. In conclusion, honourable members, whatever our political differences, the authority of Parliament rests on a shared commitment to respect its decisions and uphold the integrity of its processes. Allegations that a member has disregarded a decision of this House must therefore be examined with fairness, constitutional fidelity, and a clear regard for the institutional independence of Parliament. I urge the committee to discharge its mandate with diligence, impartiality, and decorum, ensuring that all parties are given a fair hearing. Until the committee completes its inquiry and responds to the House, and reports to the House, I advise honourable members to refrain from public commentary on this matter.
And you heard the voice of Speaker Bagbin when he concluded his remark on the referring the minority leader, I should say, to the Privileges Committee of Parliament. And in a moment, we'll try and speak to a former member of Parliament himself, Yunus Hussein, who's joined us on the phone. But in studio with me now is Dennis Poaberu Wedam, who is a producer here at Media General. Specifically Ghana Tonight, and also head of the legal desk here. So we want to quickly look at what it means if you are being referred to the Privileges Committee, and especially not just a regular member of Parliament, but this time around the leader of the minority side. Dennis, good evening. Thank you for joining us in studio.
Thank you.
First of all, can you help us understand when they say someone has been referred to the Privileges Committee, what is the significance of that contempt citation of Parliament?
Well, so the Privileges and Immunities Committee of Parliament is one of the many committees of Parliament that look into various matters. But this particular committee is one that deals with conduct of members of Parliament. So that is to say, if, for instance, conduct of a member of Parliament is said to be in breach of the rules or is said to be in affront of any of the rules of Parliament, that is the committee that deals with that. And also it also applies to other persons who may say things that seem to be an affront on the dignity of Parliament. So if, for instance, a member of the public is cited for contempt and the like, that is the committee that will face. So their own members too, when they are cited for contempt, or in other words, to say that they've done something which seems to lower the image of Parliament or brings the image of Parliament to disrepute, this is the committee that looks into those matters. But Martin, there's a context to this whole thing that we're looking at. So there's an ECOWAS Parliament, which member states usually send a delegation. Obviously, that ECOWAS Parliament cannot accommodate all the members of parliaments of all the countries. So what they basically do is that they have delegations from each country, represent the country in that parliament. In our case, we were presenting an 8-member plus 1 observer, making it 9 in all, to that ECOWAS Parliament. And usually that is work by Parliament which is done to select the number of people or the specific members who will go there. Now, somewhere in July, the list came before Parliament for consideration because, like I said, it is the House that nominates the people and actually pass a resolution to say this is our delegation. Now, in that particular list was the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He was included in that particular list. However, the majority leader, Mahama Ayarga, said that there was an issue that they needed to deal with. And that issue was to the effect that the ECOWAS Parliament has certain criteria for the delegation, one of it being women representation. And he did indicate that for every delegation, they require that there should be a minimum of 30% representation of women in there. But when you look at the list that we had at the time, it had number 1, George Ricky Higan, that's Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South and the Deputy Majority Leader. It had Emmanuel Kwesi Bezra, MP for Ho West, who was a member on that committee. Ladi Ayi Ayamba, who is MP for Pusiga. Eric Afo, MP for Amenfi West. It had Dominic Napari, MP for Sydney East. Patricia. Okay, so the third person was Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who is the minority leader. Now the 7th person, Kwame Ahimedu Enchi, MP for Asante-Achim Central. Brian Achampo, number 8, MP for Abetifi, and there was an observer, Millicent Yeboah Amankwa, MP for Sunyani West. Now, when you look at the list that was originally presented, you would appreciate that there were only 2 women in there. That being Ladi, the MP for Pusiga, and then the observer, Millicent Yeboah. That would mean that the composition at the time would have fallen short of the 30% minimum requirement by the ECOWAS Parliament. The other issue that Mahama Ayarga also raised, being the basis for wanting to amend the list, was that it has always been the practice that they allow deputy leaders to be in the delegation of the ECOWAS. So that's how come when you look at the first person on the list, it was George Ricky Higan, who is the deputy majority leader. So the expectation was that on the other side too, it would have been the deputy minority leader who will be in that list. But the original list had Alexander Afenyo-Markin's name there. So the majority leader, Mahama Ayarga, then in July, suggested that, in fact, they had agreed that they will make an amendment and replace Alexander Afenyo-Markin with his deputy, who is in the person of Patricia Aji, MP for Asokwa. That was done. It was moved. A resolution was passed. The Speaker accepted it and made the announcement with the necessary amendments, invariably meaning that Alexander Afenyo-Markin, minority leader, had been taken out of the list. So we moved past that. Then 2 weeks ago, that's in this November 2025, Majority Leader again made an observation that he had seen that the minority leader who had been taken off the list, who is not part of the delegation, had gone for a session at the ECOWAS Parliament. And in his view, it was a breach of the resolution that the Parliament itself had passed to amend the list, and that he should be cited for contempt. The Speaker had to take time to make a reasoned ruling, which we played out, which now indicates that on the face of the facts that have been made available to Parliament by the Majority Leader, it is a matter that merits probing, for which he has referred the Minority Leader to Privileges Committee to look into his conduct, one, to ascertain the facts, and two, to make recommendations as to whether, or even to assess to see whether it was in breach or it qualifies to be contempt of Parliament, and if so, the recommendations that will be made. So that is the general context of it within which we're having this conversation, Martin.
Right, and it's good that you give us this background or this context to what exactly led to the Speaker saying what he said. Thank you very much, Dennis Paweri Wedam, for that. Now, we also are privileged to have the Honourable Inus Afuseni with us, former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. Honourable, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us and making time to speak with us. To start with, the Speaker was clear in his pronouncements that he's expecting recommendations from the committee. What, in your estimation, could the possible sanctions or recommendations be? Just hoping that we can hazard a guess.
Well, so I told you when this matter broke out that the recommendations of the committee could be, one, a reprimand, two, a suspension, and three, outright expulsion. So it's a range of sanctions that could be applied if the Committee on Privileges find that the minority leader's action is clearly an affront to the dignity and integrity of Parliament.
And when it does happen that the Privileges Committee, after hearing the minority leader, come up with their recommendations, is it possible that it could be that he be made to pay a fine or a sanction? What kind of sanctions are likely to be?
I mean, you are looking at the conduct of a member of Parliament vis-a-vis the sanctity, dignity, integrity, and reputation of the Ghanaian Parliament. That the Ghanaian Parliament took a decision by resolution to constitute its representatives to the ECOWAS Parliament. By extension, the people of Ghana, being part of the ECOWAS community, selected through their representatives in Parliament, their representatives for the ECOWAS Parliament. The people, through their representatives, did not include Afenyo-Markin. So he did not have the power on his own to represent the people of Ghana at the ECOWAS Parliament. That Parliament haven't taken that decision, and he haven't taken a decision against the decision of Parliament, it could clearly be in contempt of Parliament. It's more serious. His conduct is more serious if you look at it in terms of his status in Parliament. He is the leader of the minority caucus of Parliament. And so ought to know that you ought to uphold the dignity, sanctity, respect, and integrity of Parliament. So his conduct is more serious if you look at it from the point of view of the fact that he is part of the leadership of Parliament and helps the Speaker to maintain order and discipline in the House.
Right. And again, it gives us a good understanding of why the Speaker thought that the action of the minority leader, or even before the Speaker, the majority leader thought that the action of the minority leader was clearly at variance with the specific orders of the House. But talking about the Privileges Committee, can you help us understand the scope of its authority when it comes to its rules, its decisions that it takes, and how binding are the recommendations that the Privileges Committee makes?
So the Privileges Committee is one of two committees mentioned in the Constitution of Parliament. You remember, Article 97 1C or thereabouts mentions the Privileges Committee in respect of the conduct of a member of Parliament who absents him or herself from Parliament without the permission of the Speaker for a number of days. So the Constitution clearly mentions that conduct should be referred to the Privileges Committee. The second committee is the Finance Committee. I think that these are about the two committees of Parliament that I have mentioned in the Constitution. So it's a very important committee. It's something like a peer review committee that members of Parliament must be given a hearing in respect of conduct which is an affront to the dignity and sanctity of Parliament. And so the Privileges Committee is constituted by members of Parliament from the majority and the minority by their, pro rata or proportional representation. Depending on the strength. The members on the Privileges Committee will reflect the strengths of the parties in Parliament. So when a member's conduct is the subject matter of referral to the Privileges Committee, they have to meet, given an opportunity to explain why he took a decision or he did things that clearly or that could potentially be an affront to the dignity of Parliament. And if they are satisfied with the explanation, they will exonerate him and produce a report and recommend to Parliament what to do. They could recommend that he be exonerated because he did this because of A, B, C, D. Now, if they come to the conclusion that his conduct is so serious that they need to demonstrate their abhorrence of that conduct, then they recommend sanctions.
Right.
A reprimand is a sanction. A suspension from Parliament for a number of days is a sanction. And they have the power to recommend that member should be expelled from Parliament.
Okay. Thank you again for the education and insights you bring to these conversations, Honorable Inus Afuseni.
You're welcome.
He is the former member of Parliament for Tamale Central, a private legal practitioner as well, and one who has extensively worked with or dealt with the workings of Parliament. So it's a very rich perspective that you bring to this conversation. Thank you for that. And we are staying in Parliament because we'd have to then wait and see what exactly the Privileges Committee's recommendations will be on this issue that has to do with the minority leader. Talking about Parliament, though, the NPP MP for Pandai, Matthew Nyindam, has been given a lifeline by Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, who has ruled that he can remain a member of the House until the 1st of December, which is Monday. It will be recalled that majority side insisted that the Pandai MP was no longer a member of the House after his election was annulled by a Tamale High Court. Matthew Nyindam was blocked from contributing to the budget debate, but delivering a ruling on the issue, Speaker Bagbin held that once a notion of appeal has been filed by the NP, the Court of Appeal rules provide the decision that it stay for at least 7 days. So let's listen to Speaker Bagbin on this particular issue where they had to actually suspend the conversations on the floor so at least Speaker Bagbin can bring the final verdict on it.
The effect of the order, to my understanding, is that the Electoral Commission is to conduct a rerun election within 30 days, implying that the original declaration of Honorable Matthew Nyindam as the winner of the parliamentary election is invalid, and the member is no longer a member of Parliament. I, however, bring to the attention of the House the provisions of the Court of Appeal Rules 1997 CI-19 as amended in the Court of Appeal Rules 2020 CI-132, Rule 27(3), and it provides as follows. I quote, "There shall be a stay of execution of the judgment or decision appealed against for a period of 7 days immediately following the giving of notice of the judgment or decision," unquote. In this instance, the ruling of the Tamil High Court was delivered on the 24th of November 2025. The statutory 7-day stay therefore remains in force until 1st December 2025. During this period, the High Court's ruling cannot form the basis for the Speaker to instruct the clerk to notify the Electoral Commission that the Pandai seat is vacant.
And you heard Speaker Alban Bagbin giving his ruling on whether or not the Member of Parliament for Pandai can stay in the House to continue parliamentary business or should be booted out. But from all indications, he says that until the 1st of December, we all have to wait and allow the MP to conduct business on the floor. And beyond that, further details will be given. And trust us to update you subsequently when we do get that information. Time now, though, for the latest in the world of business.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming up tonight, Ghana's current account surplus hits 3.8 billion cedis or dollars in first 9 months of 2025. I am Bismarck Ausa. This headline story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Ghana's balance of payments picture has improved dramatically in 2025. The Bank of Ghana reports that the country recorded a current account surplus of $3.8 billion for the first 9 months of the year, a sharp jump from just $553.6 million over the same period in 2024. The surge was driven by a strong trade surplus. Export earnings from gold and cocoa soared, helping push the trade balance or surplus to $7.5 billion. Meanwhile, private inward transfers remained high, with $6 billion recorded by the end of the third quarter. Together with positive balances in the capital and financial accounts, the current account surplus helped deliver an overall balance of payment surplus of $1.8 billion. As a result, Ghana's reserve assets climbed to $11.4 billion by October 2025, covering roughly 4.8 months of imports. Moving on, outgoing president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Ayimdake, is urging policymakers and financial sector players to adopt a clear and ambitious industrial roadmap that places manufacturing and value addition at the heart of Ghana's 24-hour economy vision. Addressing the 65th National Annual General Meeting and Job Fair of the AGI in Accra, he said the local industry stands a major chance to leapfrog leapfrog long-standing constraints, enhance productivity, and expand job opportunities for the country's youth if the right structures are implemented.
Efficiency, reliability, and safety. It requires investment in power, stability, digital connectivity, and transport infrastructure. More than that, it calls for financial systems that can process payments, credit, trade transactions around the clock. For the Ghanaian industry, it represents an opportunity to leapfrog constraints, enhance productivity, and create more jobs, especially for our youth. I hereby encourage policymakers, financiers, and industrial leaders to approach this vision with a clear roadmap, one that places manufacturing and value addition at its core. The AGI has also been relentless in its advocacy for a comprehensive review of the Public Procurement Act for years. We have argued that the current framework, which appears not to adequately prioritize local industry, limits the competitiveness of Ghanaian manufacturers.
And that was outgoing president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Asiedu-Dartey. Meanwhile, the Ghana Revenue Authority is signaling a major shift in how taxes are administered, with a fresh push to simplify compliance for businesses and individuals. Commissioner General Anthony Kwesi Sapon says a newly approved integrated tax administration system will modernize operations across the revenue chain, cutting out delays and ensuring a smoother experience from registration through to payment. Speaking at the 65th AGI National Annual General Meeting and Job Fair in Accra, he explained that the platform, expected to be operational by March 2026, will also unify customs and domestic tax information to prevent taxpayers from being confronted separately on the same obligation.
Then on the local front, again, you will notice that we went to Parliament to seek the approval for the implementation of ITAS, which is Integrated Tax Administration System. Again, this is an automation of the tax administration that will take us to the next higher level of ensuring that the processes of complying with tax administration is made easier, is convenient, and it supports the agenda of businesses.
And you heard Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Anthony Sapon, bringing us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. And that ends the bulletin for the night. Thanks for your company.